Hello, and welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex, and in today's video, I'm going to be discussing something that's been on my mind a lot lately. Partly because it's a struggle that I still wrestle with a lot, and that is bringing in my projection, or, cutting down on how much I project my hurt onto other people. And so what that brings me to is thinking about judgment, and when judgment is useful versus when it's toxic. So let's just jump right into this. So first, let's start off with toxic judgment. What do I mean by toxic judgment? I mean judging ourselves and others in ways of grouping them into either good people or bad people. And this is toxic because it very much labels whatever person as inherently good or inherently bad, when human beings are human beings. We do both good and bad. There's no perfect person. So that can be really not helpful. It also is the judgment that feeds into black and white thinking. Like, oh, well, I'd never do that. That person is a bad person because they did something that I judge that I would never do. When that's just rude to assume that about yourself, especially if you've never been in that situation. But say you have been in that situation and you reacted differently than somebody else, judging their predisposition to act a certain way is not helpful for them. And it may inflate your ego a little bit to think, oh, I'm doing better than this person. But it's a short-lived high, because that harshness that you put out on that person, you're still going to put on yourself when you don't behave in a way that you think that you would. And so when those times happen where you behave in a way that brings you shame or brings you doubt, then you're going to group yourself into that bad group of people, and then it is like catastrophizing yourself of like, well, I'm just a failure because I did this thing that I said that I would never do, or I didn't believe that I could do it. And then that gets you stuck in a cycle of depression versus actually learning from the mistake rather than shaming yourself to oblivion until you forget it. And so keeping in mind that the same judgment that we put on others is judgment that we put on ourselves, it's important to inject compassion into that. And that's where we come to healthy judgment or useful judgment, which is judging what we have the strength to do. Judging for yourself what your self-care needs to be, what you need to be comfortable and functional. And like, oh, well, is this situation a situation that I can handle due to my trauma triggers? Is this situation something that I can't be a part of because of how it's making me feel about it and the emotions that it's bringing up? What do I need to heal? And making those judgment calls for yourself, for your health for your mental health care, and just your health in general, is the useful useful judgment of when to put that into place. And like I said, I've struggled with this. I'm not perfect at this at all. All my biggest regrets in the past few years was me falling into projection judgment and getting really upset with people, and then having my trauma cycles replay with them. Instead of just looking at it and being like, this situation is unhealthy for me, I need to just cut it off and take care of myself. And it's still something that I'm working on, and it's still something that I need to learn fully into my habitual self. But the more that I practice it, the more that I practice compassion, not only with myself, but with the people who cause me harm, the better I feel about everything. And it's not that I enable people and let them walk all over me, because that's not good mental health. I just make judgment calls on myself more than make judgment calls on other people. And it's still a work in progress, but it has made my life better. Judgment should help and not hurt. And when you judge other people and try to group them into different things, it is just rude, in my opinion. But this is coming from somebody who's been isolated and excluded from a lot because of the judgment that was put on me for a very long time. And so it was natural for me to get stuck in that cycle myself and to judge other people myself in order to try to feel better. But the shit of it is, it doesn't make you feel better in the long run. It just makes you feel worse and worse and worse and piles up all this negative feeling, when what we should be striving for is acceptance of ourselves and acceptance of others, and discussing those hard disagreements and those hard things when they come up. Or if a discussion isn't possible because the person isn't open to communicating, then taking a step back and being like, all right, well, I need to live for myself. I am not going to live for this trauma cycle that's staring me in the face right now. So yeah, I just wanted to do a little video. I'm a little bit anxious today, and I wanted a creative passion thing to do to kind of take up time. And also the stuff has been just whirling in my brain a lot, but I think I'm going to keep it short. Thank you for everybody who watches and everybody who comments and likes and subscribes and all of that. Thank you to my viewers, and I hope your January is going well. All y'all have good ones.